Can I be honest with you about something? You are not bad with money, and I'm tired of nobody saying that out loud, because every time a young person talks about struggling to make rent, or not being able to save, or feeling like their paycheck disappears before they even get to enjoy it, the response is always the same. Stop buying coffee, stop eating out, stop spending on things you don't need, be more disciplined, be more responsible, figure it out. And I'm sitting here thinking, have you actually looked at the numbers lately? Because I have, and the numbers tell a completely different story to the one everyone keeps blaming you for. Let me just be straight with you about what's actually going on. Your parents bought their first home in their mid-20s. Not because they were more disciplined than you, not because they sacrificed more than you, but because when they were your age, a house cost roughly 3 to 4 times what they earned in a year. Today, that same house costs 8 to 12 times what you earn in a year. The goal didn't just move, it got picked up and dropped somewhere you can barely see from where you're standing. Rent in most major cities right now takes between 30 and 50% of what a young person actually takes home after tax. And that's just rent. That's before food, before transport, before the student loan that starts chasing you 6 months after you graduate, whether you have a job or not. This is not a problem. This is a math problem. And the math is genuinely broken in a way it has never been broken for any generation before yours. But here's the part one really want you to pay attention to. Because the cost of living is real and it's serious, but it's only half of what's going on. The other half is something that's a little harder to talk about because it involves being honest about the world you grew up in and what it did to your relationship with money before you even had any. You are the most marketed generation that has ever existed, from the moment you got your first phone. And for most of you, that was somewhere around 11 or 12 years old. There has been an entire industry of incredibly smart people whose only job is to figure out how to get your money out of your pocket with as little resistance as possible. And they are very, very good at what they do. Think about buy now, pay later for a second. Not what it is, what it actually does to your brain. The reason it exists isn't to help you afford things you genuinely need. It's because someone figured out that splitting a $150 purchase into 4 smaller payments makes your brain treat it like it's almost free. The discomfort of spending, that little moment of hesitation before you hand over money, is the thing that makes you stop and ask yourself whether you actually need something. Buy now, pay later removes that moment completely. No hesitation, no pause, just buy now, deal with it later, and later always arrives faster than you think. And then there's something that I think is one of the most specific and under-talked about financial traps that exists for young people right now. Lifestyle inflation driven by social media. Every generation before yours had some version of keeping up with the people around them, spending money to match the lifestyle of your neighbors, your friends, the people you could actually see in real life. But there's a natural limit to that because you're only comparing yourself to maybe 20 or 30 people at most. Your comparison pool is everyone on the internet. You open any app and you are immediately seeing the most filtered, most elevated, most carefully curated version of everyone's life. The holidays, the apartments, the clothes, the food, the experiences, and your brain, which was never designed to compare itself to millions of people simultaneously, registers all of that as normal, as the standard, as what a person your age is supposed to be living. And so you spend, not because you're careless, but because you've been handed a completely distorted picture of what normal looks like, and you're just trying to keep up with something that was never real in the first place. Here's the thing that I really need you to hear though. None of this happened by accident. The one-click purchase that removes the friction of buying. The infinite scroll that keeps you inside a shopping app for 45 minutes when you only meant to look for one thing. The buy now, pay later option sitting right there at checkout makes everything feel affordable. The subscription that charges you every single month for something you signed up for 2 years ago and completely forgot about. Every single one of those things was designed in a room by incredibly intelligent people whose entire job is to separate you from your money in ways you don't fully feel happening until you check your bank account and wonder where it all went. You are not failing at managing money. You are playing against a professional team on their home ground with rules they wrote specifically to make you lose. So what do you actually do about it? Because I don't want to just leave you feeling validated and still broke. That's not helpful to anyone. First thing, actually look at where your money goes. No guesses, not an estimate. Go through your last 3 months of spending and write down every single category. Most people never do this because it's uncomfortable. But the gap between how you think you spend money and how you actually spend money is where most of the problem lives. You cannot fix something you can't see clearly. Nuts. Second thing, save before you spend, not after. The reason most people never save is because they spend first and save whatever is left, and whatever is left is always nothing. The day your pay comes in, move even just a small amount into a separate account before you touch anything else. You won't miss it, but it will quietly build into something real over time. Third thing, Go through every subscription you're paying for right now and cancel anything you haven't used in the last 30 days. Not 2 months, 30 days. If you haven't used it in a month, you are just paying for the feeling of having access to something you never actually use. And fourth, get curious about how money actually works. Not in a complicated textbook way, just enough to understand the difference between money that sits still and money that moves, between spending and investing, between buying things that lose value the moment you own them, and putting money into things that grow while you sleep. Nobody taught you this in school because a generation of young people who actually understand money is much harder to sell things to. So you have to figure it out yourself. I want to finish by saying this again because I mean it. You are not bad with money. You are young. You are underpaid for the world you were handed. You are surrounded by a system that profits from you feeling like you can never get ahead. And you were never given the tools to understand any of it before it started affecting your life. But here's what I know about Gen Z that I think gets underestimated constantly. You are the first generation to actually see the system clearly for what it is. You grew up watching it work on you in real time. And seeing it clearly is the first step to not letting it win anymore. You're not behind, you're just finally waking up to the game. Now play it differently.